topic that I think we all enjoy and are somewhat. It's almost like the why we always strain to see some sort of accident, and that's the celebrity cosmetic surgeries gone bad, and there's so many of them, and we've invited one of our neighbors here at the Rick and Bubba Broadcast Plaza in Teleport. Just up the staircase, you'll find Petro Cosmetic Surgery. And Dr. Petro's here with us today. Welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You know what? You, of course, are an expert in the field and do outstanding work. And, we've talked about it before and about how this is something that, mainly usually involves women, but more and more you see men getting involved in this. And I know one of the things that when we met you that I thought was a great point, you being a woman, kind of have a connection to women and can kind of understand their emotions, their thought process, what looks good, what doesn't. How many of these that we see from the female standpoint do you think one of the problems is it might have been a man that didn't really were like, well, okay, whatever you want to do. I mean, I just don't understand how not only would the client do some of this, why would the doctor continue it or allow it?
Well, that's really hard to say. I don't think anybody knows. I mean, you don't even have to go to Hollywood to see bad results.
Right.
I mean, we have them, unfortunately, everywhere.
Right.
And it's what scares a lot of people. I think people listen to what people want, and then people just have different aesthetic goals. I mean, people think different things are pretty. To me, if I don't think something is going to look good, I'm not going to do it. There are people that come in that are what we call kind of junkies that have been to multiple surgeons and they've had all these procedures done, and I've had them come and ask me for things, and it's just not something. If I don't agree with it and I don't think it's going to look the way I want it to look, I won't do it. But not everybody's like that. I mean, I think a lot of people just do what people want, and maybe some of these people wanted this, maybe they didn't. Some people don't really like a natural look. Some people want to look unnatural. But the majority of people, and the majority of people I see, want to look like themselves just the way they looked 5 or 10 years ago. No one wants to look like somebody else. It's a very abnormal to find someone that comes in and says, I want to look like somebody else. And if they say that, that's not someone to operate on.
Red flag. And
it is.
And some of them, I guess, are just botched. They weren't, there was no intent.
I mean, surely the doctor didn't intend for it to look that way, right? I mean,
some of them, sure.
We don't have to go any further than, I think, number 9 on the list here to go, my goodness. I mean, when you make yourself unrecognizable, that's a problem.
Especially a celebrity. You take this Kenny Rogers one, which has been pretty famous, and you look at Kenny Rogers, and you talk about someone who had a unique look. You know, he had that silver fox look. Everybody,
he was older, but he was
so well known.
Yeah, respected.
And then he has this plastic surgery. And he doesn't even look like Kenny Rogers. I mean, So what? Just looking at that picture, what went bad here?
Well, the most obvious thing is his brows, and his brows are way too high, and that just gives him this chronic look of surprise. I mean,
yeah, that's exactly.
And I'm sure he is surprised when he looks in the mirror. His eyes look very unnatural, and they changed the shape of them. And the goal, especially with men don't want high brows. Some women do, usually not anymore. I mean, we can get a great lift to a brow with Botox even. So that type of lift is just very unnatural, whether it's on a man or a woman.
Yeah, I didn't mean to jump ahead on the list, but that's the one that, I mean, when I first saw him after that, you remember I called, I said, somebody is impersonating Kenny Rogers.
Yeah,
and it must stop.
And it's already uncomfortable enough if you're somebody that you just kind of want your friends and family not to be uncomfortable. But when you have branded yourself and you're a public figure and, and then you change your look, I mean, it can affect your livelihood. You remember and it's not on the list here because it didn't turn out bad, but what Jennifer Grey?
Was she not on this list?
Yeah, well, because it didn't look bad, but she doesn't look like the same actress.
Oh, it totally changed her.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's not so much that when you're looking in a book and you see where the brow position should be or how an eyelid should be, it's not really that way. I mean, there are a lot of actresses, Nicole Kidman being one of them, whose forehead is a lot bigger than most people would say is an ideal based on measurements. But things look different on different people, and people look different than the book. So it's really a matter of looking at somebody and deciding how you think that they would look rejuvenated but still like the same person. I can't imagine Kenny Rogers is very happy with that. But there's not much to do once it's gone. It's easy to take more out, but you can't put it back.
Well, he always kind of had that squinting look, like you see, and now his eyes are open. They even look like they're a different color eye. I mean, is that really Kenny Rogers? Seriously? I mean, somebody pulling a gambler on us here? What's up?
Well, they did the 10, and again, this list is a little dated because I haven't come out with a new one in the last 3 years. But Mickey Rourke was number 10, and they said that a lot of his came from the fact that he was a boxer. He did this little thing. Remember, he didn't want to be an actor anymore.
Yeah, you remember he was a heartthrob at one time. Yeah. I mean, he was considered one of the top leading men, but I would think boxing would rearrange your face.
Right, and he had his nose broke, but it should not have led to this completely different look.
The most obvious thing about him is the way his pull. I mean, he's pulled. That's called a windblown look.
Yeah, it looks like wind is blowing his face. Yeah,
that's not the vector. That's not how we like to pull things to make them look naturally. It's more a matter of lifting it back to where it was. And when you do that, generally, there's no tension on the skin, so it never would look windblown. That's a straight back type cockpit of an airplane look. But
that's a roller coaster look.
How does that even happen?
He tried to do something with his chin, and he messed his mouth up. I mean,
it's the pull. It's the skin's pulled straight back, and there are people that do things like that. But
and it does make them look plastic.
Now, are you familiar with number 8 here, Vivica Fox?
I'm out of the loop.
This is, I'm afraid this is going to be an augmentation gone bad. You got to be careful with some of these, but
easy with those pictures, man.
Right? Yeah, and you do see this with women who are, trying to, whatever their goal may be, it goes south. More is not always better.
It's not. And, the goal of all of this is to enhance someone's beauty. I mean, everyone has pretty features. Everyone has features that they're really comfortable with and happy with. And usually what happens is time, and they want it back the way it was. As far as breasts, my goal in doing a breast augmentation is for someone to come to me and say, my coworkers think I look thinner. Because when your breasts are a little bit bigger, everything's more in proportion and you look thinner. You never want someone to say, I got told I had a facelift, or somebody asked me if I had my breasts done. I don't. I want them to say, look more proportioned, more like maybe they look before children or before breastfeeding, just more back in proportion, because clothes weren't made for people with big breasts. I mean, you can't wear jackets, you can't wear dresses. You look fat, really. Your breasts get too big.
What is the deal, too, with this, like you said, this obsession? There's people that almost get addicted to cosmetic surgery. You see a lot of these celebrities that just go
back and
crazy
back
with it. Is it just do they become delusioned about how they look? I mean, what is the obsession? Is it a mental thing that goes bad, like a lot of addictions?
Well, I mean, I think they're unhappy people. There's something wrong, and it's really our responsibility as surgeons to stop it. I mean, to not participate in it. But some people do, unfortunately, and I think that there's body dysmorphic disorder, which is where you look in the mirror and you see something else. And I think a lot of people, would have that, and we've just given them an avenue to express it. So I think that's why we're seeing more and more of it.
Now, who is Tara Reid? I'm out of the loop on her too.
I don't know who that is. That is number 7, and I'm not sure what all went bad here. This is that lip thing that goes bad, where people do the lip lipo and is it collagen that they were using at one time? Or
we use fat. You can do fat grafting in the lip or Juvederm. A lot of people are scared to have their lips done. Meg Ryan is another example of someone that a beautiful woman that's her lips have gotten
it's too much,
too intense, and it scares people. Most people Most people want their lips done because they don't want so much of their tooth or their gum to show when they smile, or because your bottom lip's supposed to be a little bit bigger than your upper lip, and sometimes it's not. Over time, you actually atrophy your upper lip, and so most people want it back the way it was, and it's a sign of youth to have a full upper lip, but never as full as a lot of these. I mean, I just don't like big lips. But
now those pictures we saw there, I didn't see that one looking bad.
Yeah, that was no, that one. But I forget what.
I don't think that's the right picture.
Yeah. Like you said, Meg Ryan. I noticed that the last time you saw her. But I think to me, you got to draw the line. If your lips are starting to look like those plastic lips we used to get as a kid.
Yeah, you get at the convenience store.
Yeah, and then you chew the wax or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if it looks that way.
Goldie Hawn did a little too much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, boy, she got out of
start looking like Madam.
Well, to me, it looks sad.
It does.
It looks sad when a person, especially if it's an age issue. I completely understand injuries and things like that. I mean, it's incredible the things that can be done now through things that have happened through injuries or whatever. But when you're getting older, I think there's a way to age with dignity.
And with grace.
With grace, without looking like you tried to go back and turn yourself into a 22-year-old again.
And
I mean, that looks a little silly.
And the majority of people don't want that. The majority of people, especially with lips, as you get older, you start developing lines, and they look like they're smokers, and they're not smokers. So we can fill those lines in. Or they put lipstick on, and the lipstick runs up the lines and ends up, so it's not fun to wear lipstick. And all girls like makeup and lipstick. So usually it's...
And shoes.
Yeah, and shoes. We love shoes. Uncomfortable shoes.
The more uncomfortable, the better.
The better.
Yeah. We'll come back. If you have any questions, too, 866-WE-BE-BIG. Dr. Petro will be with us for one more segment. You can find out more about, too, Petro Cosmetic Surgery. We'll put the information there in show notes at rickandbubba.com. And her office, like I say, right up the stairs from us here at the Rick and Bubba Broadcast Plaza and Teleport. So she was kind enough to come in and speak to us about this from an expert point of view. Some others still on the list. You probably have some yourself. 866-WE-BE-BIG. Petro Cosmetic Surgery, and she's kind of talking about some of these, the ones that have been very famous. We were just showing her Speedy Bruce Jenner. I mean, another person who was an American icon, very well known, and obviously, it just does not look. He looks like a wax figure of himself.
He looks like, it's a very feminizing nose, and the skin's way too tight. It's, again, that windblown look. It's just too much.
Well, let's talk about that, because the thing...
I think it's that family he married into did that.
Yeah, well, the Kardashians will make you look like the wind's blowing on you all the time. The other thing about that is we were talking about Priscilla Presley. We did that story a couple of years ago where she went to some doctor
at his house and had the surgery done in a garage or something. I mean, what in the world?
Why would someone with the resources of Priscilla, and I know you can only you don't know, but I mean you could in your mind you can speculate on why would she do that? To me that seems like there's some mental problem on why you're having it done.
Well, she's such a beautiful woman. I can't imagine, especially with her resources. And sometimes people, if something's not something that's used in the United States, or that would be a reason, which again is really the surgeon's responsibility. But I can't imagine that. I mean, you want something sterile, you want something clean, and you really, if something's not used in the United States, I'm not sure.
Well, plus,
why
you know what else I want?
Probably a reason why.
There's something else I want. I want expertise. I want someone who does what they do well. And we were talking about in the break.
If they're using craftsman tools, I'd be worried.
Well,
they got a lifetime guarantee.
The garage is a red flag.
But even if they were the most beautiful pair of shoes in the world, and I had to go to somebody's garage to buy them, I wouldn't. You just can't even. You wouldn't even buy shoes from somebody in a garage. You would want to go to a department store where you knew where they came from.
We see so many cases, which is why you're here today, of people who obviously either were doing it for the wrong reason, or they had the wrong person doing it, who didn't have their best interests at heart. But let's talk about, what you're talking about. You try to be the type of doctor that says, if I see somebody that there's a red flag, this is not the right thing to do, you'll tell them.
Absolutely.
What are you looking for when you think this is the right person? You are doing this the right way for the right reason. Who is that person?
Well, they're more of the right people than there are the wrong ones. And I just got a letter recently from a lady's husband, and she had a mini facelift and her eyes done. And she originally came to me and said, I just don't feel like myself. People ask me if I'm tired. People ask me if I'm sick. I look in the mirror and I don't recognize what's happened. And I do the procedure for her. Within 2 weeks, she's just happy as she can be. Her husband writes me a letter saying that she's like the woman he married. She wants to be with him. She wants to travel. She wears bright colors. She loves to shop again. And I didn't do anything to her body. And it's more a matter of when you feel good about how you look, you become the person that you were when you felt good. And we have parents get sick and kids get married, and decades are a big deal. Someone turns 50 or 60, it's a big deal. And it's people going through divorce, or even just really happy people that miss the way they used to look. So the goal for me is for someone to say, people ask me, tell me I look great, but they can't figure out what it is. They ask me if I got a new haircut or if I just got back from the beach. So the goal is to look rested and refreshed and to be and enjoy doing the things you want to do. Because if people keep telling you look tired, I think it just makes people tired. People get tired of hearing that. They want to look and reflect the energy and the way they feel inside, and that's
it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, yeah, how many times have you felt good and somebody said, "Are you sick?" And
it's
suddenly
depressing.
you go, "Wow, I don't feel good."
You go look in the mirror. I mean,
they usually ask me if I'm sleepy, and I go, "Yeah, I am."
Do you feel uncomfortable in that shirt? Gosh, I didn't until you said it.
It's a little snug.
Blake's in Auburn, Alabama. Blake, welcome to the program. Go right ahead.
Hey, Rick and Bubba, how you guys?
Doing good.
I don't know if I missed the first part of the last segment, but I think you seem to have forgotten somebody. When you Google bad plastic surgery, the very first one to come up is, take a guess.
Michael Jackson.
That's right.
What
how could you guys forget it?
Well, that's true. What was going? I mean, obviously there were some severe problems there.
well, I think he. I mean, it obviously looks terrible. I mean, that's obvious. I can't imagine who would keep operating on a nose. Rhinoplasty is one of the most complicated, difficult operations, and
right.
it's a functional structure, and it's kind of like a tent. And if you keep breaking down the walls, it just falls. And I can't imagine he could breathe through his nose. He just kept having so many operations. It's a very, it's just fell in, and you have to take bone and cartilage from other places to rebuild it. And it's really sad, and it's unfortunate because most people that have a nose job have a little bump on their nose, or their nose is a little big for their face, and they just want to look better.
That case is so far above anything else on the list. I mean, it's its own column over there. I mean, look at that. That's just unbelievable.
Donna's calling out of North Alabama. Donna, go ahead.
I'm 65 years old, and my upper thighs, I've always had large thighs, and even 25 years ago when I was slimmer, they were, the one on the right had a little bit of a pooch that wanted to hang, and now, of course, it's worse, and I need to know if liposuction, laser lipo, what can be done.
What's the best procedure for the situation she's in?
Well, it would depend on your skin. I would just need to see you. We do have smart liposuction, which is basically areas of fat that bother you. And, you just can remove them real simply, and it takes about an hour. And then you wear a little garment for a week or two. It hurts like a bad workout, like you haven't worked out in a while, and you work out. So it's a sore feeling. And speaking of celebrities, I will tell y'all, Suzanne Summers, she had the thigh master.
Yeah.
Well, she had liposuction. That's how she got her thighs like that. So there are just people that are born with, areas of fat. It's just genetic. And for women, it's usually our outer thighs and hips. And for men, it's usually the flank area, the lower back and the lower abdomen. And removing it with liposuction is a great way to get rid of it. It's really the only way, because even the thigh master doesn't work. So,
are you claiming that Suzanne Summers did not show her thighs as the benefits from the thigh master? It was actually laser lipo?
Can you believe that?
Well,
I don't know if it was laser or not, but I know that I had the thigh master, and I was determined to have her thighs. That's not how I got them.
Well, thanks for your comments and helping out today, and we may call on you again. So if you'd like to find out all the information, we'll put all the information about Dr. Melanie Petro there in our show notes today, and Petro Cosmetic Surgery. Thanks a lot for being with us. We appreciate it very much. If you leave us, have a great day.